Discussion this morning in our first lesson in Introduction to the Philosophy of the Human Person. I'd like to share a screen with all of you. So here's that screen. Wait, the screen could not be found yet.
Crust is divided into two. Good morning, Alice. Chelsea.
A few seconds more.
So again, the crust
Things are still setting up.
into the continental and the oceanic crust. Below the crust is
For a while. There.
mantle is divided into regions. The partially molten, which is the
So we have here this slide that introduces to us lesson 1, a lesson on doing philosophy. On why, actually this topic covers things on why the philosophy is done, what people makes of philosophy, why do people do it, what can it do, why has it existed, where it came from. All of those are related to our first lesson, which is on the doing of philosophy. But before we go into its specifics, I want you to try answering these questions first. I'll try to pick out people from the call, and then I'd like to request you to give answers, to express your answers to these questions. Don't worry, no answer here is acknowledged to be correct, to be the only correct answer, or to be quite wrong. I welcome a variety of answers to these questions. Starting with question number 1. Do you believe that war is wrong?
there is a movement of
Let that question float. Do you believe that war is wrong?
since the upper mantle.
Naika, what do you have to say to this?
A stratosphere is a flowing portion of the, not flowing, but it's being called partially molten. It tells us
So,
there is this movement. And
the goal?
said that this is in one way or another.
Okay, according to Naika, it's not necessarily wrong right away. Nor Naika would like to say that it's also right away right or correct. It depends. If I'm not mistaken, Naika, your idea is that it depends on the intent or the purpose or the goal of going into war. Okay. What about Leisure? What do you have to say to this? Do you believe that war is wrong?
If you relate that to electricity, convection is the transfer of heat from one body to another. If we relate that into the
Okay.
astrosphere,
Okay, thank you, Leisha.
is
Leisha's answer stands on the idea like in its nature, war is wrong because it would involve hurting people. And there's a context of violence there. So don't worry, I'll also give others a chance. When I entertained Naika and Leisha's answer, I didn't say that Naika's answer is the one that's only right. Nor did I say that Leisha's answer is the only one that's also right. You didn't also hear me say that one of them is wrong or that the both of them are wrong. This is a matter of what you would say as a response to these questions. Let's have this.
flow of the
Do you believe that criminals should be punished for their crimes? Or should they be helped to lead better lives? So I'd like you to choose which between the two would you want to happen for criminals. Option 1, they should be punished for their crimes. Or option 2, they should be helped to lead better lives. I see. What can you say about this?
every year. If it so happens that the
Go.
movement is at a great
Why?
quantity or at a great distance to one another, then imagine what will happen to our planet Earth. There will always be earthquakes here and there. A great
Okay.
concentration
Thank you
of,
for that opinion. IC's opinion makes sense.
in,
When you do something, you should be ready for the consequence. And much more if it's a criminal act.
somewhere there in the Pacific
I get the idea that IC is really giving out there that for the criminal act that has been done, there is a consequence and a punishment for that. One cannot just simply find his way out for whatever criminal activity or criminal act that was being done. Okay, thank you for that answer. I see. What about, wait, I'll try to look at who's around.
where concentrations
What
are
about
located. Actually, that's how volcanoes are not that
JICA? What can you say about this JICA?
place, but in the origin of the universe and the origin of the planet Earth, volcanoes tends to shape our
Okay, sorry, what is it?
why we have some landforms or whatnot. It's basically because of the
Oh, okay, why?
these volcanoes will give rise because of a sudden
What's the reason again?
opening, and that
Oh,
causes
okay. Sorry. JICA banks on the idea that people change
leading to
on the variability that people change. So they should be these criminals should be helped instead to lead better lives. JICA is giving us the idea of reformation.
from that
While
opening
there's a chance to reform a person or that a person be reformed, let's give them the chance.
generate that
JICA, no? That's the background of the answer. Actually, question number two
or rather
goes with a debate on death penalty, that long-standing debate and that dead proposition on death penalty.
going back to that
That people are not to be subjected to death penalty, they be welcomed to the idea of reformation instead.
this tends
That while they can be reformed,
study
they be
what
reformed.
will predict
But IC's premise of her answer is one that stands well against
from potential
death, but against those who wish for reformation. IC's premise is on the idea that if in the first place you don't want to be punished with death penalty, you should have not done any criminal act at all, any heinous crime on that matter.
and it won't
Thank you for those opinions. Thank you for those answers.
unless
Let's continue with
our
this.
planet dies.
Do you think the earth is flat?
In the hemisphere, together with
There are already so many things in this world, sir, that are flat.
they both
Should the earth be included in it? I don't know
physics
if there's one from this class who is a believer of this,
acted.
but I tell you there is a
One of the
group. I don't know if that group is a significant number,
four
but there's a group in this world who still are believers of the earth to be flat.
our outer world.
They even have a version of how the world looks like, as it is not a globe. They see it to be a flat
Because of the movement
surface.
Prelims,
Is there someone here who believes that the earth is flat?
what the
Feel free to unmute yourself.
waves does.
Because if no one unmutes, wait, Mark?
This,
Do you believe, Mark, that the earth is flat?
you notice I shared to you as well some notes regarding the boundary between the upper and the lower mantle. It is called the
It is. I mean, that has been quite proven already. Wait, Alay believes as she's Alay. Don't put it again in the chat box. Alay.
uh, I'm not so sure, but please be
Who was it?
aware that in the upper picture,
Daniel Baloran. If you,
where you
I'll call Opong if you won't stop.
is a single T, and the
But what do you say, Alay? What do you say on this one? Do you believe that the earth is flat?
double T spelling. When I searched in the internet, I only
Char.
I had more
Scientifically speaking, big word.
cases single spelling.
Mark also expressed the same thing. The earth isn't flat. But for some reasons, there are really those believers who claim that way. At least there's not one here. I don't know. Is there one here from this group who thinks the earth really is flat? Because if you are, I'll give you the opportunity to be heard.
But in general, this is called
But if everyone doesn't believe that way, we'll proceed to the next question now. Next question.
the lower mantle.
Do you think that everyone in the world should have the same amount of money?
Boundary between the lower and the upper mantle.
Nothing says here that that money is really great or not.
Researches
But the statement here is everyone should have the same amount of money. Is there someone here who thinks that way? Or what do you say? What can you say of this one? What is your opinion on this? John Buntag. Ano, there's no other John here anymore. Last time there was a John Abeliana, so I would have to still mention your family name. But since John Abeliana is not here, so I'll just say John. John, what do you say? What can you say of this question, John?
So therefore, I get to realize that this particular picture might be faulty at some point with respect to the spelling. So I justified that
What
word
by value you mean?
should only contain a single D in the spelling. Okay. Okay. Before we go to the petty and the negative,
Ay, okay.
we go
You are
back
referring to its
is
value in reference to how much it's worth.
and the lower mantle.
That's not
The upper
an
mantle
index.
together with
But that's the value, the value of money in relation to how much it is worth in a particular currency and in another currency.
again, the upper
John, I think you're suggesting now of having only just one current. Wait, the currency terms may differ, but the values will just be uniform.
like how many spheres are there in our planet?
Is that your point, John?
I only name four.
What about
Sphere, atmosphere,
who else is in this call?
biosphere, and
I click the
lithosphere.
chat
Because
box.
lithosphere associates
What
objects
about
with
for a while, ha? Because
or the sphere of
Google
the
Meet is
Earth
taking
of the
forever.
ground. But when you use the word geometry,
Laging Google
it
Meet
will
ko.
already comprise the totality of the Earth, including the
Ah!
atmosphere.
Cannot.
So we will make use of the solid portion of the Earth, including the partially molten
My Google Meet has
as a
frozen.
denominator to represent the ground, which is the lithosphere. However, when you want to talk about the upper
Hi.
mantle and little portion
Google
of
Meet.
the crust, the upper and the lower crust is
What about
then we call it as the asthenosphere. Technically speaking,
Thea? What can you say of that statement, Thea?
ground or a moving portion of the ground. Para ba sinabi natin, pag meron tayong groundwater, meron din tayong ground rock na dumadalo. And that is in the form of magma. So that's where you'll see
Okay.
magma in the
For the purpose of equality and no discrimination, Thea wants to have the same amount of money. What about Alex? What can you say of this one, Alex?
upper mantle is a solid portion of the mantle. We call this the lower mantle.
Yes, Alex?
And in between the lower mantle and the outer core is the Latin word discontinuity. This is the
Let's just see this.
the
Let's just see this question as it is. Everyone should have the same amount of money. Everyone in this one should have the same amount of money.
The core is divided into two layers, the outer and the inner core.
Okay.
The inner
Why?
and outer core, both of them is extremely high temperature and pressure. Any metal that will be placed in a hot fire
Okay. Okay. Thank you to the opinions of those three students. And I, of course, acknowledge and recognize and appreciate your opinions. But I want you to also consider that if everyone should have the same amount of money, then, given that that's the setup here in this world, that means that no matter what your job is, you'll end up having the same salary as those who don't even need to work as hard as you do.
And then in the
And how will that play for you? Do you find that all right?
and that
And also, if everybody develops that same mentality now, that since I'm going to earn as much as the others, even if I don't work hard, then that's more or less tantamount into saying that working hard is not anymore much of a requirement.
well, the secondary
This now, I respect your opinion, but it's also mine. We vary. This now recognizes the idea of not anymore giving worth and value to effort and to the nature of everybody's works.
seismic wave or P wave,
Money
fastest wave that can travel
is of less value anymore
while
because it's equally distributed to everybody in the community. I mean, everybody is an equal amount to enjoy already.
so when the,
When supposedly
how do they say
you are compensated. I'm talking of work. when supposedly you are compensated in relation to the amount of work and to the nature of work that you do.
liquid in
Then again, our opinions here
phase,
have varied,
then
and that's
this
quite
is
expected.
seismic wave.
Next,
And when it reaches
do you
the
think
outer core,
homosexuality is
then the
natural and
seismic wave
acceptable?
dissipates or disappears.
What do you say of this one,
Thus,
Rain?
that outer core is in liquid form. Thus, it concluded that outer core is not solid but
I hope Rain
liquid.
is still in the
However,
call.
the innermost core
There,
is,
there, there, there.
I believe, in the movie Scrap, Ice Age, the only animal to reach the inner core is Scrap. I mean, I'm not sure if you are familiar with Scrap. The Ice Age movie.
Don't worry, don't worry. That's your opinion. No one will take it against
That's
you.
boundary as well.
No one
But
will.
if
If you find
it
this to be
says
not natural and unacceptable,
or
by all
unacceptable,
means, that's your opinion. And
and
I
that
request
boundary
everybody in
is
this class to respect
other
that.
than
In the
the
same way that we
boundary square
respected the
centimeter.
differences in our answers in the first four
There's
questions.
another name for the
And
Lemma
if Rain would say
distribution.
that this is natural and acceptable, and one would say that it's not, let's respect Rain's opinion on this
Wait,
matter. Go, Rain.
I think there's another name for the Lemma distribution. This
Wait,
is this discontinuity
huh?
is proposed by a German or a
Oh, okay, okay.
Dutch
I had no idea.
physicist
I don't know if I captured the right words and I understood it.
who
How you say? Wait, I am lost for words
in
there.
the Dutch language. The name is Inge.
Anyway, uh,
INGE.
and
That
anyway, whatever the
physicist
case is,
who is
people
not
will still love Rain for who
Socrates.
for whatever her
However,
options are.
this is
I mean, I still
correct.
love Rain for who she is,
The
and I
inner
admire
core
Rain
here
as a
is
student.
dated
Thank you for your sharing, Rain. Thank you for your sharing on that matter. I just didn't expect that. Rain, I hope you found it all right because this one is going to be uploaded.
seismic wave. What I meant there was
Sure? Because if you don't find it all right, I will not upload this video at all.
there for the P and the S wave.
Are you
The
sure?
other
Okay.
is for
I hope I got your permission on that end.
seismic wave.
Okay.
The
Thank you, Rain.
other
Thank you, Rain.
name for
What
the
about?
Lemon
I'd like to throw the
distribution
question
is
to
here.
Chelsea.
There's actually another name in some references class. This was given with another
Yes,
name.
Chelsea.
Bullet, yun. Bullet discontinuity. We have here the other name for the Lemon discontinuity is also called the Bullet discontinuity. The name Bullet discontinuity is named after K. Bullet.
Yeah.
Some
Actually,
references quote it
in
as
my understanding of
Lemon
the
plus
context, no,
Bullet. Bullet
I
is
share that
new
part of the answer. I share with Chelsea that part of her answer where she said, for as long as they don't do
they
anything bad,
discovered this
like
discontinuity
if
by
they didn't step on
using
anybody's
the
reputation and dignity,
seismic wave that
if
is
they didn't harm any person, any other person,
of the
I
PSS
think
wave.
we
This
just have to
would
really
make
accept
the
them. If you
name
do not
for
accept them,
the
like what do you want us to do with them?
solid in state. But this
I mean,
seismic
they're already
wave
around
has
us,
been
and
found
what would you want the world to
limited
do?
research and
Put
proven
them in a capsule
during
and send them to another
the
planet?
outer core is in liquid state
That cannot be
and
done. I mean,
inner
that's
core
too inhumane to
is
be
solid
done.
state. So
If in the first place if they are existing together with us and that they are thriving and living together with us without harming us, without ruining or destroying other people's reputation, then they deserve to exist as much as we do. There are even people who are not homosexuals, yet they are the ones doing things that are destroying other people's names. Yet we acknowledge them to continue existing among us. I think these people deserve to continue existing as well. By the way, there's one sharing that I'd like to point out. No,
A portion of which
when I was in another school,
or a
I was
topic
made a
which is
participant,
exposed
a member
to
in the
spread
gender sensitivity group.
and this
Gas
could give
gender
rise to
gender.
explosion
I forgot the name of the. Basta
that
I
is known
attended
as the
a seminar, a training for speakers on
belief
gender
that
sensitivity
finally
issues.
exists
Our
somewhere
speaker
in
there was a
space.
psychologist,
This
and
group
then she
finally
made us answer an activity.
exists.
She made us answer a questionnaire,
One of them is
and there was
called
like an activity below that
why
questionnaire
beliefs
to determine our sexual spectrum.
and it is still
All of
existed
us
in that
were
time and
surprised to know that not one from us belong to just one sexuality. Yes. There were members in our group who were married. I was one of the single members of the group. And until now, I'm still a single member of that group. But there were many of us who were married. Married female participants, married male participants. Right after that activity, we found out that our sexuality belonged to the spectrum. Meaning, a part of us, like in my case, or like if Alay were a member of that seminar, or if John Buntag were a member of that seminar, Alay, a part of Alay would actually like a woman, and a part of her would like a man. A part of her would say that at some point she is not interested to any of them. So our sexualities did belong to a spectrum. So it cannot be definitely said that one just likes one person who is in a particular gender. At some point in your life, you'll reach a moment when you would say, I have developed this liking towards a person who may be in the same sex as I am, or who may be in the same sex, on the opposite sex as I belong. And that's normal. That's expectedly normal. That's what the psychologist said. Because again, that activity revealed that our sexualities are at a spectrum. The sheer fact that when you say, Huy, I like what you're wearing. Like if Alay were to say that to Chelsea, I like what you're wearing. I like how you look right now. That is already Alay's admiration towards Chelsea. Which admiration, in which case, admiration should technically and strictly be directed to someone of the opposite sex. But Alay expressed it towards Chelsea. See, that's Alay falling into the spectrum of her sexuality. Let's have another question. Oh, wait, where's the last question? The last question, I think, is this. If forced to make a choice between the death of a baby or the death of 10 baby dolphins, what would you choose? Don't worry, your choice won't necessarily speak of who you are as a person. I think what's bothering your minds right now is, I would not want to lose dolphins because they're all so cute. Now let's make a choice. If you are to make a choice between the death of a baby or the human baby, how when I say baby, that's a human baby, or the death of 10 baby dolphins, what would you choose? I'd like to throw this to Nice. I think Nice is in the call. Nice? Yes, Nice. Which one would you choose, Nice? The death of a baby or the death of 10 baby dolphins? So Nice is saving 10 baby dolphins. Why Nice?
In between that, you have the island of Hawaii, where it contains the most active of which is the Kilimawi and the Muan.
Oh, okay. Nice is looking at it based on the number of lives that could be saved. So Nice is putting aside whose life will be saved. Because I think Nice, you're on the premise that regardless, there's life. The question now is, how many lives can be saved? And how many lives will be lost? Is that it, Nice? Okay, thank you for the confirmation. So on that idea, on that situation, Nice is willing to choose that. No, sorry, unwill, because it's harsh for me to say willing, because it's as much as possible you would not want to lose a life here. But given that you should choose, Nice has reluctantly chosen the death of a baby over the death of 10 baby dolphins. What about, let's choose another. What about Errol? Which one would you choose, Errol? The death of one human baby or the death of 10 baby dolphins?
The boundary between one plate and another. This, in particular, tells you.
Okay, why?
And then this extends to the Nazca plate. So these plates are the ones that moves. every year for a minute and a limiter. And this
Oh,
makes it polite
just like, is it on a similar reason as the answer of nice?
volcanoes will be created.
Oh, okay. On the idea of having lives, having more lives being saved.
What is
Okay. What
this
about
one here
Ishi?
in Indonesia class is
What can you say of this one,
part
Ishi?
of the so-called Himalayan plate here of
I think Ishi is in the call.
Indonesia, Himalayan plate.
Go, go.
Yeah, Alpine Himalayan, ano plate, belt pala. Alpine Himalayan plate.
Why?
Because there's further later that there are a lot of illustrations here of the different plates that we can associate as to the tectonic activity and one of the seismologists in the near future studying further the plates and
No,
provide
that's really.
plates.
There's a personal note that I'd like us to also consider in the answer of Ishi.
Notice that
You said that you don't like babies.
concentrated with
That's why Ishi is willing to. Okay, we can just let go of one baby. Let's have these baby dolphins instead.
that is why
Much so that it would take 12 months
going to experience
for a mother baby,
not much
stupid,
will be
a mother dolphin
so if you are not
to bear that baby, to
big
carry on
fan
that baby.
fan
So
will
for
be
these six questions, once again, I'd like to thank all of you for your opinions, for your honest answers. These questions are actually reflective of the act of doing philosophy.
20, 30, 30.
Unknowingly, you actually tried to
Now,
philosophize to
illustrations
arrive
here
at an answer to these questions.
is really
The act of philosophizing in itself
even
is
was
your attempt to use
tidal
your minds
tidal wave
to
movement
justify
was beginning
your option or choice of an answer
was
to
really
these six
figuring
questions.
on the after effects of
Even if, sir, it's just too simple.
after
Do
effects
you believe that war is wrong? It is
but
wrong.
I
It is
strongly
right.
believe in
It could either be wrong, it could either be right. That actually requires philosophizing. Because if you didn't philosophize at the time, then you would have not provided yourselves a background on why you chose that answer.
storm surge. Most
Take, for
common
instance, that
that
last question. Even if Ishi's answer was of a
here
personal explanation, when she said, it's because I also don't like babies, that personal reason is an attempt to philosophize her choice of an answer.
governed
So
with
what you did,
uh,
what the class did
other
earlier
parts
was
of the
actually
of
philosophy. You
Philo.
were
This is the
doing
volcano.
philosophy.
We have here a lot of volcanoes, but we can only
Let's
select
start
just
with
five
defining
major
philosophy.
volcanoes in the Philippines.
Philosophy comes
These
from
five
two
major
Greek words.
volcanoes date back
These
to
Greek words are
5,000
philos, which means love, and Sophia, which
What
is
would happen
wisdom. But if
if
you look at your module, it only
moving
says philosophia as the entire Greek word itself.
progress
But if you are
aside
to dissect philosophia, again, you have
by
the two
there
words
would be
philos, which means love,
in
and Sophia,
philosophy
which is
is
wisdom.
mountains
Greek
of
is the origin of the two words, and these two words combined together
wisdom
create philosophia,
and
which in English
philosophy
translates
of
to love of
and
wisdom.
there is a fifth one.
This definition soon is applied to the study or
What's
discipline that uses human reason
the fifth
to
one?
investigate the ultimate causes, reasons, and principles which govern all things,
Ayun.
which is what you also did earlier. That is why you might have noticed that it wasn't enough for me
Burusan.
that you gave a mere yes or no answer, or just you picked only an option to the list of options. I requested you to provide a reason, your human reason, on why that is how you want things to be governed. When you chose an option, that was you trying to govern the question with an answer. And your act of governing it was supported by a reason. Because again, reasons are important here in our practice of philosophy. Those who are engaged in philosophy are known to be lovers of wisdom. Those who, when they wake up in the morning, will say, I'm not saying that you should do it, but because if you do, then that would make you quite deviant and different from the people in your homes. If you say, why am I
Okay,
awake
so the
today?
five major
What
volcanoes
is my
in the
purpose of
Philippines
existence for this morning?
are following
And then when you go to your table, dining table, served is food is served on the table, and you be like, what is food?
That's what
What
I'm
is it but
searching
just mere nourishment?
for
What's the essence of eating
so that
rice? And why rice?
is one being
Why this egg?
future.
Why why is this egg cooked in this manner? Among the many ways of cooking egg, why this?
However, there
What
are
what's so
evidences to
significant
indicate
about cooking
the
this
most
egg
recent
in this
theory.
manner?
The
Ma,
Atlas
pa,
date was not yet
why? Ma,
integrated.
pa,
So
why will you not eat with?
activities
Why am I here
shared,
alone?
rate,
What
and
what does
performance
this
should
mean?
be integrated.
Who am I that I should
After
be
all,
eating alone
it will
here in the
create
dining table for
worry and
breakfast? What is
hatred.
breakfast for? What is the dining table for if not for everybody to sit together and dine? There
So
are many chairs in this
this is
dining table,
something
and
that
why am I the only
makes
one eating here right now?
the
What are these chairs for if you do not eat together
strengths
with me?
is the
If you do not wake my brothers and sisters? If I do not share this food with them, what is food then if not to be communed
below
by everyone? If you keep on doing that at home, then I tell you, your parents will look at you differently.
Indonesia to
And your
illustrate
parents will blame the
the
school. What
African
has
God
IA taught you?
is when the blood
What did it now turn you into?
they
But
collide
actually,
with
that
the
is your human reason at work. Before, in the practice of people before, when we were still not alive, it was just normal for them to craft plenty of questions in their attempt to understand how things are going on. Like, for instance, why is there a thunderstorm?
the other one is
So,
located
how did they
on
try to rationalize this? They incorporated their beliefs on this matter to try to explain events and phenomena around them. Why is there a sudden flood? Why is there a flood? Maybe because the God of the sea is angry at us. Why is there a thunderstorm? Maybe because the God of the sky is mad at us.
of a certain black hole.
Whatever their reference
Just
was,
like a fracture.
that was their
You look at
attempt
a
to
fracture of stone
philosophize, to
and
use
consider
human
that it is
reason
a ground
to
that is now going to
explain
fall. If
the
you see
things
a
that
hole
happened
or a
around
thorn
them.
that is in your skin, that is a lesion bro.
There are plenty
But
of assumptions
fast
about
forward first
philosophy.
in
These assumptions, by the way, can be
concentric
found as well in your
forces
module.
as fall. Faults are
Philosophers are the ones who are
described
engaged in doing philosophy and they are called lovers of
first
wisdom.
fault and then
Obviously, that
describe
was stated
with fault.
earlier.
When you talk about the
Philosophy,
normal
one
fault,
assumption
the
here is that
having fault
philosophy
is
is a
the
bunch of crap
fault one.
that people do when they want to make
Fault
money but they
usually
don't
is
want to
something
work.
it submerged.
Like
Rises.
when someone goes to
And then
work,
number eight
of
are
course, that's for the
bridge.
purpose of earning money. When someone takes a
When you
job,
talk about
then
when
someone
you talk
wants
about the
to
first
earn from that
the
job
first fault
but
now,
is
actually
hesitant.
one act
Why will I do this? Why
wonderful
can
fault
I not just wait
occurs.
for the day to
The
end?
reverse fault will most
Anyway, I'll
likely
just receive my
behave
pay
as
after a few days.
click.
I'll still get paid because I already got into this contract. I'll
One
get
of the
paid.
many examples
So
of
that's a wrong notion, a wrong assumption of philosophy. Another one. Philosophy is trying to answer questions through observation and thought. It could be a formula to life or an informed way of life. It is. To some, it is. By mere products of observations and how they have rationalized what they have observed, philosophy gets to be applied. Philosophy is the different people's views on life, death, and the afterlife. Even the afterlife is included by some in their understanding and application of philosophy. There are people who understand how things work when people are still alive, on why death happens, and what comes right after death.
transverse manner or
But the funny thing about before I proceed, but
then
the
basically
ironic thing there is since no one has come I like there are claims, but since no one could scientifically prove what has happened right after death, people can only philosophize. They can just only assume what comes after death.
can be associated with the left
Philosophy is
brain
wanting to know more than the
with
obvious. They clarify using reason and logic, They clarify answers to questions by an act of argumentation. Philosophy is how a person thinks. Obviously, with the use of reason, you cannot come up with reason if you do not use your power of thought. Philosophy is sitting around, smoking cigarettes, and getting into deep discussions about life's little quirks. Not perhaps with the smoking cigarettes part, but surely I don't know if you've had a share experience where you and your friends just gather around and then you talk of whatever comes to mind about life. Like you just suddenly do some sharing of what happens around you, around your friends, about your own family. People assume that to be a practice of philosophy. Like when people want to go to the beach, there are plenty of posts about this online. They want to go to the beach or to the shore, gather around in a bonfire, and they talk of whatever they could come up with about their lives, about what they want to have in their lives. They see that as an attempt of doing philosophy. Philosophy is also seen as a rational inquiry into the nature of the universe, of the both physical and metaphysical natures of the universe. It's also an in-depth reasoning about literary works, and the understanding of these literary works would require an analysis. In college, especially in our curriculum, there is what we call as literary analysis, a critical criticism subject where we look at literary materials and we delve into analyzing these works based on the life of the author, based on the words used by the author, based on the time when the material was selected, based on the impact of this literary material to society and to other principles that govern the society. That's an analysis that we did in so many literary works. For sure, you have heard of feminism and the way it's incorporated in literature. That's an attempt to analyze a literary work. Philosophy is also defined as a search for truth through the contemplation to reach a higher sense of self or self-actualization. There are others who might keep on asking themselves that question. What is my purpose of existence? The answer to which could not be known right there and then. And so they continue venturing in their journey called life. And eventually, when they find their purpose, that's their time of self-actualization. Other assumptions, we continue. It is seen as a body of knowledge which provides methodologies and insights on how societal questions can be answered. These societal questions would include any concern in society like euthanasia, same-sex marriage, issues on politics, issues on morality, and that it is believed that philosophy could help answer these questions. There are also others who see philosophy as an intellectual activity, which is analytic in nature, which means it follows an analytic set of procedures. It would address individual thought processes by resolving conflicts and confusions. All in all, all of these intellectual activities would prescribe to logic, reason, and ethics, thereby leading to wisdom. In our practice of philosophy, we should also be thankful to these people. We have this image of Pythagoras. Before, I pronounced his name as Pythagoras, but actually, there were several authors, several sources out there that had pronounced his name as Pythagoras. For sure, in math, you have heard of his name, as he has made popular the theorem, the Pythagorean theorem. He is a mathematician and a scientist who had been credited with the formulation of the Pythagorean theorem. But aside from that, he also established a community of learners devoted to the study of religion and philosophy. You might not find this in the module. That is why, like what I said earlier, I'll post this presentation, this PowerPoint presentation in Edmodo later. You don't have to copy anything from this PowerPoint presentation now because you'll have a copy of this in Edmodo. I promise you that. I'll give you a copy of this module, of this PowerPoint presentation in Edmodo.
So ATP is
Another philosopher, you have this man, and he is by the name of Heraclitus. He proposed that everything that exists is based on a higher order of plan which he called logos. The existence of everything in this world is a product of a higher order, or that there is a higher plan that has allowed for things to exist. And that term, that plan or order is what he termed as logos. He is also the one who said that change is a permanent aspect or feature of humans in this world. According to him, change is a permanent aspect of the human condition. No man never steps in the same river twice. So that's Heraclitus for you. Next, we have this man. This guy who is by the name Democritus. He studied the causes of natural phenomena and was among the first to propose that matter is composed of tiny particles called atoms. Next, this man by the name of Diogenes. Diogenes is a known advocate of living a simple and virtuous life. One should not only talk of virtue but should show it in words and actions. To him, to live a life of virtue and simplicity is not just to be declared, it is rather to be practiced. His emphasis on austerity and simplicity, having a simple life, often went to the extreme and was said to have lived like a beggar. Because to him, that life of a beggar that he had or he demonstrated was a way to show that austere and simple life that he was advocating for. Next, we have this man by the name of Epicurus or Epicurus. He's into the idea that philosophy could enable man to live a life of happiness. That's his Epicureanism. His views gave rise to Epicureanism, which is a school of thought which believes that that wisdom and simple living will result in a life free of fear and pain. We proceed. This life, which is the freedom from fear and pain. Sorry, freedom from fear is known as ataraxia. It's in your module. And the freedom from pain is aponia. You'll find that in your module. Ataraxia is the freedom, peace and freedom from fear, while the freedom from pain is aponia. All of those are advocated by his Epicureanism, or the school of philosophy which he had given rise into. Next, notable philosopher. These three actually have come out to be quite so prominent, not just in philosophy, but also in the field of history. You have the name of how do we pronounce this name? The worst that I've heard was when people pronounce his name as Socrates. There are others who pronounce it as Socrates. But my pronunciation is one that I have learned to subscribe to. I pronounce it as Socrates. I don't know. I find it better than Socrates. Socrates actually sounds fine. I mean, it's acceptable. It's all right. But I just opt to have it pronounced as Socrates. Socrates is considered to be the foremost philosopher of ancient times. And he did not claim to be wise. and even was merely considered has merely considered himself a midwife that helped inquiring minds achieve wisdom.
the process
He
that we
assisted
need to do.
in the attainment of wisdom. That's what he claimed. He
Focus
believed
is
that
where
philosophy
the
could
crack
enable a
happens.
man to live a
It
life
is
of
the origin
virtue.
of your
He formulated the
brain.
Socratic
When
method,
this
which is a
focus
means of
liberates
examining
the
a topic by
energy in the
devising a
reticular,
series of
it
questions
liberates
that would let
satisfaction.
learners examine and
It will
analyze
charge
knowledge
memory
and
waves.
views regarding
This is
a
the longest of the
topic.
body
So the
waves.
Socratic
When
method
it will
is,
create a cycle
one
wave, it will travel
commonly
along
practiced
the brain.
method in
When
schools.
at first it
Teachers
travels,
ask,
it will be felt
students
wonderful.
answer.
He called it as the
Students
heavy
ask,
method.
teachers answer. That's the
So the
Socratic
quicker it's
method at work.
heavy,
Socrates
superficial
had a
the center. This
student
is your
in the
center.
name of
Superficial is
Plato.
the outermost portion of the center.
Plato is a
Inside
student
is
of
the center
Socrates, and he
melancholy
wrote down his
cognitive
mentor's
practice.
teachings and
The
incorporated some of his own
subway is
ideas.
your heart.
There might be others who pronounce it as Plato,
The inside is the
Plato,
myocardium.
but I
The
pronounce it as
outside is the
Plato.
pericardium. If this is your
His
lung,
teachings and
the
writings were
outside is the
considered, in fact, the foundation of Western
uh,
philosophy. He invented the dialectic method.
this is the
The Socratic
outflow
method can be traced to Socrates. The dialectic method can be traced to Plato. What is this dialectic method all about? The dialectic method is again a method of inquiry, but in here, two opposing ideas are discussed in an attempt to arrive at new knowledge. So the dialectic method welcomes opposition, the goal of which is to arrive at what is better between the two, or what compromise can be met between the two, or what's common between the two. Plato founded the Academy, which is an institution of higher learning, which is the first of its kind in the Western world. Plato is the teacher of this philosopher, Aristotle. People would pronounce it as Aristotle, Aristotle. I pronounce it as Aristotle. He attended the academy and was a prominent student of Plato. The academy that was founded by Plato, that's where Aristotle had attended for school. All ideas and views, according to him, are based on perception, and our reality is based on what we can sense and perceive. You can then therefore say that Aristotle is an empiricist himself. He's an empirical philosopher. Empiricism would require your use of your senses. Your experiences are product of your senses and observation. We learned that yesterday in research. So Aristotle himself is an empirical philosopher. He's an empiricist. He studied logic that led to the formulation of a formal process of analysis which gave rise to deductive reasoning, the process of which specific statements are analyzed to reach a conclusion or generalization. So we credit deductive reasoning to Aristotle. Again, Socratic method, Q&A, question and answer, Socrates. Oppositions arriving at new knowledge, dialectic method, Plato. Deductive reasoning, specific to general, Aristotle. There's no picture for Aristotle. That is sad. Where's his picture? Really, there's no picture. What happened to the picture of Aristotle? Why is there a need to philosophize? Why do people philosophize? People philosophize to satisfy their sense of wonder, which, according to Plato, is a product of curiosity. Plato tells us that people are curious. They want to learn. They want to know something of something. And so they wonder, they ask, and that's curiosity. There's also a need to philosophize because people have this feeling of doubt. They tend to reject or question ideas that they meet. And this concept was proposed to us by Rene Descartes, whom you've known as the person who have made the Cartesian coordinate plane. Again, he told us that at some point, the ideas that we meet may be rejected or could be challenged or questioned. And so on that end, we doubt them. And so we philosophize. We try to come up with reasons on why these ideas are not anymore to be doubted upon, or what's the doubt, what's behind the doubt that we are feeling towards these ideas. According to Karl Jaspers, another contemporary philosopher, we philosophize because there are situations that limit us. Experience tell us that there are situations that limit us. For instance, for someone who is married, for people who are married, each of these two persons, the man and the woman, cannot anymore involve themselves with any other sexual relations, with other people, because they are already committed to each other. That's the limit that they experience, which supports Karl Jasper's opinion. And lastly, according to Socrates, there is this innate love for wisdom, love of wisdom that everybody has. Because of that love of wisdom, because of our insatiable desire for truth, for knowledge, we have developed that love of wisdom. And so we continue to practice philosophy. Let's just continue this next time because it's already 10:45. Anyway, the continuation is on holistic and partial thinking. The continuation of the discussion will be done on Thursday. And for this, that'll be all for this morning. Unless we have questions. Do we have some questions?
It's most likely synonymous but not entirely to the P waves. Love waves direction is moving side to side.
Again, Mark, may I request you to repeat the question? Sorry.
This is your direction, love waves is like that. If this is your direction, love waves will be like that. Perpendicular to the direction of your wave. While wave is most likely elliptical.
I'm sorry, but I didn't capture the question because it sounded choppy. May I request you to restate the question once again?
Again, two surface waves, you have radial and love waves. Two body waves, we have primary and secondary waves.
Okay. Mark is expressing now the idea that there is some form of difficulty in philosophy. Is that it? Because there is. In the complete, for a while, Mark, in the complete course of philosophy, because actually in college there's an available one. Actually, not so many would take on the course. There aren't so many philosophy graduates who finish the course in college or who take the course in college because of the kind of difficulty that that people are expecting to experience in that course. And I will not deny that from you. Those who have excelled in this area, in this field, those who have been acclaimed as philosophers, had experienced more than what the ordinary people did and have embraced more of these understandings of the world around them for them to be notable philosophers. Yes, Mark.
How strong the earthquake is, measure it using the Richter scale. And it will be
on Thursday. What's going to happen on Thursday? On Thursday.
Richter scale reaches to 10.
It's like this, Mark. Your meetings on Mondays will happen on Wednesdays again. And the subjects that you have on Tuesday will be taken again on Thursday. That's our pair up. Monday and Wednesday have the same subject and same schedule. Tuesday and Thursday have the same subject and schedule. Same time, on Friday, you'll have your ST, your summative tests. Your summative test, which you will take through Edmodo. Okay. Anyway, you can also consult on this matter with your class advisor. For now, we shall call it a day, and I will now end this call as I also